Good afternoon, everybody. Steve Fletcher with a trumpet for my people. Today is September 10th, 2021, here in Yucatan, Mexico, and we have gone into September 11th. On the other side of the world, Israel has entered September 11th. And so I want to share a piece of information with you about the Shemitah years, the year of Jubilee, and the connection to the Day of Atonement, which we need to consider at this time as we have gone past the timing of the Feast of Trumpets, but the signs have been extremely powerful where we have been watching right now, so we do not want to move out of this feast day time frame. We want to continue on through the Day of Trumpets, and then the next day is the Day of Atonement. Let me share this piece of information with you from Pastor Mark Biltz, and then I will come back at the end and share an explanation from my point of view with everything else that he is showing leading to the year 2021 to 2022 and the importance of the year 5782 on the Hebrew calendar.
Interesting.
Wow.
Can you explain what the Shemitah cycle is for those who may not be familiar with that term?
Okay, so God has a time clock, and we need to understand, just like a grandfather's clock has gears to keep us on God's timetable, we need to know God's appointed times, and we need to, we're his servants. So he doesn't come at our beck and call, we're to come at his beck and call. And so within the gears of this grandfather's clock, so to speak, we have the weekly gears of the Shabbat, the monthly gear of the new moons. We have the yearly festivals like Passover, Pentecost. All of these are known as the Moedim, or appointed times. So then we have the yearly gears of the Moedim. But then we have the seventh year of the seventh year cycle, which is called the Shemitah. And then every 50th year is the year of Jubilee. Now, one thing I want to point out, this is going to set this program up. We are right now in the year 5781. This coming Rosh Hashanah begins the year 5782. So their calendar is different than ours. But let me show you this, Jim. This will be very, I think, significant to you individually as well. But look at this. In Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 1 through 2, God says, when all these things come upon you, the blessing and the curse, which I've set before you, and you call them to mind among all the nations where the Lord your God has driven you, and you return to the Lord your God, you and your children, you obey his voice and all that I command you today with all your heart, with all your soul. Look what happens in Deuteronomy 30, verse 3. It says, then the Lord your God will restore your fortunes. He'll have mercy on you. He will gather you again from all the nations or the people where the Lord your God has scattered you. Do you know this is the 5,708th verse of the Bible? Well, guess what? That also was the year 1948. The year 5708 on the Hebrew calendar was our 1948, and this very verse was fulfilled that year.
Wow.
Wow.
That's powerful.
Going horizontally, you can see the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh year. 1966, 1967 was the Hebrew year 5727. And it was right then when the four blood moons appeared when they recaptured Jerusalem at the Six-Day War. And then you go to the right, you see the seventh year was 1972, 1973, which was the year 5733. Now people ask, how do I know that's a Shemitah year? It's so simple. The Hebrew year is divisible by 7. It's that easy. And so look at the next 7-year cycle. So many people focus on the Shemitah year. You really need to focus on the first year of every Shemitah cycle. Look at 73, 74. You have the Yom Kippur War. Look at 1980-81. You have the Israeli jets destroy the Iraq nuclear reactor. So I'm going to go across and watch what happens here. Here, 1987, 1988 was the first Intifada. 1994, 1995 This is incredible. This was when Israel entered a peace treaty with Jordan. That was the year 5755. Guess what? The Bible verse for that year is Deuteronomy 31:30, which begins the song of Moses that's sung in the book of Revelation. So this is powerful. God did not want them creating a covenant with the foreign nations. And then that brings us to 2001, 2002. That's Operation Defensive Shield. It's the second Intifada. And guess what happened in 2001, 2002? That's when the quartet was established. Okay, that's the United Nations, the EU, the United States, and Russia. They decide in 2001 and 2002 that Israel needs to be divided and a Palestinian state needs to be created. And then lastly on this slide is 2008, 2009, which is the Gaza war, the stock market crash. Okay, now hold your seats. Here comes the mind-blowing one. First off, 2015, 2016, again, set off by the four blood moons. What is the meaning of these four blood moons? In 48, in 67, in 2014, 2015. I believe these eclipses were a warning of what will be coming even 7 years later. And here's what I mean by that. Look what happens right now. If you look at that chart, we are at 2020, 2021, which is the year 5781. So that is the 6th year of a 7-year cycle, which means this Rosh Hashanah, we begin the 7th year.
Okay, so as Pastor Mark Biltz has pointed out, the 7-year Shemitah cycles are bringing us to the year 2021, 2022. Okay, now we have two very important signs in 2014 that to me seem to be pointing more to the year 2021 and not to the year 2022. And this has to do with the four blood moons that did not start in 2015, but they started in 2014. Together with the four blood moons that started in 2014, we have the sign of the two cows that were revealed exactly on the Feast of Trumpets, September 25th of 2014. Okay, so this would point us to the Feast of Trumpets in 2021. But now, is this the end of the 50-year cycle? Is this the final year in a 50-year Jubilee cycle? Okay, and if that is the case, then we need to consider the fact that the Jubilee trumpet does not blow on the Feast of Trumpets, but the blowing of the shofar in the year of Jubilee blows on the Day of Atonement. The blowing of the shofar is typically associated with the Feast of Trumpets. However, Scripture mandates that once every 7 sevens at the Jubilee year, the trumpet is to be blown on the Day of Atonement as well. Thus, in the year of Jubilee, the trumpet blast on the Day of Atonement represents the final blast of the season and of the 49-year cycle as a whole. And the beginning of the 50th year is the year of Jubilee, but the trumpet of the year of Jubilee, the trumpet of Jubilee, is blown on the Day of Atonement. And this can be seen in Leviticus chapter 25. Then you shall cause the trumpet of Jubilee to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month. On the Day of Atonement you shall make the trumpet to sound throughout all your land. So as we consider the importance of the Shemitah cycle and the end of the 7-year time frame, then we need to consider the end of the 49th year, bringing us what seems to me to be the most accurate to 2021. If this is the beginning of the year of Jubilee, then we have the Day of Atonement, which is what we need to wait for next. Okay, and these signs from 2014 cannot be denied: the beginning of the blood moon tetrad and the sign of the two cows on the Feast of Trumpets in 2014. So as we consider all of this information, we consider that September 8th was the new moon of Rosh Hashanah. In Israel, the new moon was sighted. The end of the Feast of Trumpets brought us to September 10th, Friday evening. Now we have entered into the third day of Tishri, and we're going now towards what we are in right now is the 10 days of awe from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. So this, to me, would be pointing then to September 17th, September 18th as the Day of Atonement and as the trumpet of the year of Jubilee. So this is what we need to consider now, and this is what I'm going to continue watching. As we have come past now the Feast of Trumpets, we are in this time frame that we need to continue watching through the Day of Atonement, September 17th, September 18th, and this is what I am going to be maintaining my focus on next. So I pray you guys are blessed. This is Steve Fletcher with a trumpet for my people, the sign of his coming revealed.